Welcome to this week's episode of The Better Half. I'm Kyndra de St. Aubin. This is Katy Hartley, and we're going to take a look back at what's been going on this week.
Well, Kyndra, one of the biggest headlines right now is the Arizona Diamondbacks shopping outfielder Justin Upton. And it begs the question, Kyndra, do you think the Diamondbacks should trade Justin Upton?
Well, first of all, I think just the term shopping is super controversial right now because for some reason with GMs and teams and agents, whether you're shopping a player or you're listening to offers seems to be kind of a point of contention. And even though we might characterize it as the same thing, Kevin Towers has been very adamant in that I am not shopping Justin Upton, but I am definitely listening to anybody that will call my phone right now, and he loves it when his phone rings. So I think if the offer is right, if they can get a starting shortstop or a starting third baseman for Justin Upton, I think that they should do it because it could put them in a better position to win right now, and I think that is the only way Kevin Towers will make a deal. It doesn't make them better today, right now, as they step on the field the next day, not in the future.
And I agree with you on this one, too. I think even if in the next few weeks, maybe the Diamondbacks don't set themselves up so much to make the postseason, I'm a little bit more apprehensive to trade a guy like Justin Upton. I tend to be in the boat that says he is still young. He does have a lot more time to prove, to kind of prove himself. But I agree, if the trade doesn't immediately set this team up to be in the postseason, I don't think they should do it.
Yep, and you know what? The trade deadline is still a couple weeks away, so we have some time. I mean, the Diamondbacks could either tank or maybe lift up a little bit. So as far as in the position for the postseason, that can make a huge difference on what they do with him.
Well, speaking of teams that may or may not make the postseason, depending on what you think in the preseason, is the Arizona Cardinals. I can't believe it. Training camp is here. It's
I can't
next
believe
week.
it either. It's coming up fast.
It's so crazy, and I don't know about you, but I am excited to get up to Flagstaff. And so are John Kelton and Kevin Cobb, because it will be interesting to see who's behind center in the home opener in September. What do you think?
Well, I personally think it's going to end up being Kevin Cobb. I mean, I do think they've been splitting the reps, and whether or not they know what they're doing and they have their selection already made, I do think it's going to end up being Kevin Cobb because I think they're so close right now in skill level and maybe confidence that they're going to have to go with Cobb just because they're paying him so much money. So just to justify what they're paying for him in the trade they made last season to get him, I think they're going to have to start Kevin Cobb, kind of, give him a game or two as long as he stays healthy. And if he tanks, Skelton's going to be in there right away.
Right, and this story is all too familiar. I mean, we basically said this exact same thing last year.
I think we recorded this episode last year. We could have just played the one from last season.
And what do you know? I think it's going to be Kevin Cobb as well. I think the splitting of the reps is more of a formality. I think that Coach Wisenhunt has already decided that it's going to be Kevin Cobb as the starter. Giving Skelton a fair shot because he did go 5-2 as a starter last year. So, I mean, we can't kind of count that out. However, I think with the money, and that's what they brought Kevin Cobb to be the starter. So I don't think there's any reason to think otherwise right now.
Real off the cuff, what's your prediction? Season record.
Ooh.
I know we know nothing right now. We don't know if Ryan Williams is healthy, Beanie Wells is healthy. What would you predict they're going to go?
Gosh, I initially thought 7-9.
I'm going 9-7.
Really?
I don't know why.
I still think they're going to have a losing season. But
okay.
You think winning?
I do. I do think winning. I think Michael Floyd's a nice addition. I think if they can get one of these quarterbacks, a little more consistency. If Beanie Wells and Ryan Williams are there, I think Williams is going to be huge help taking some of that load. But we'll see. Injuries are a huge part, so you just never know going into an NFL
Well, write
season.
that down. She says 9-7. I say 7-9.
We'll see.
We'll wrap with some news on the ice. Shane Doan has been very vocal about wanting to re-sign with the Phoenix Coyotes. However, it seems to be this ownership situation or lack thereof has been a bit of a problem for him.
And I feel for Shane Doan in this situation. He's worked so hard. He's stuck by this team, by this organization. He was a captain, been very adamant, kind of carrying this team and these young guys through some of this turmoil of not having an owner for so many years. I think he owes it to himself to find a good offer, go there and play with someone who has an owner. Now, all those criteria could fit the Coyotes. If they find an owner by the end of the next week and they make him a good offer, I think he stays because his heart is here in Phoenix, his family is here in Phoenix. But if those things don't happen, he owes it to himself to go somewhere else and get paid what he's worth.
And I think he's a smart enough guy to be able to weigh up those decisions. And I think we will find out in the coming weeks whether we'll see Shane Doan back in a Phoenix Coyotes uniform or not. We have seen some very fun tribute songs and videos out to Shane Doan. I don't know if we have that or not, but it's been fun to kind of see the fans come out and say, hey, we love you, we want you to stay, but I have a feeling it might be another Steve Nash situation all over again.
It might be another Steve Nash situation. In this case, I really cannot blame him if he goes. Without an owner, the NHL they don't have as much control of the schedule or with how much they pay players. So don't do what's best for you. I think he's done right by the team for a long time.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll be able to talk about that next week on The Better Half. Until then, you can follow her on Twitter at Kyndra620. You can follow me at FunKatie620, and we'll see you next week for another episode of The Better Half.